All right. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Okay, guys, we are live and streaming, hopefully, on YouTube. We are going to be covering the results. Look behind the curtain there. We're going to be covering the results from the RFK hearing that took place this morning, along with some other info. Let's see here. First of which, leading up to this, in the hour before the hearing started, there was a post from Senator Bill Cassidy, who, as some of you may know, was on the fence and very much undecided, and given the way that things were stacking up, looked to be kind of the linchpin to see whether or not RFK Jr. would be confirmed. He posted on X. Let's see if we can pull this up here for you. He posted on X maybe 30 minutes before the hearing, related to the vote. Bill Cassidy X. Okay, here we go. So we'll get this on the screen for you. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. Oops. So he said, I've had a very intense conversation with Bobby and the White House over the weekend and even this morning. I wanted to thank VPJD specifically for his honest counsel. With the serious commitments I've received from the administration and the opportunity to make progress on the issues we agree on, like healthy foods and a pro-American agenda, I will vote yes. So he's got almost 2 million views here. That has doubled in the past 30 minutes. Clearly a huge win, frankly, for everyone on this. I think that RFK Jr. was a huge vote to kind of dictate the future of how things are going to go with the Maha movement and the Trump agenda moving forward. I think that it was really concerning based on what we saw from people in the hearing last week, particularly Democrats, of which we'll show you some highlights now. But it wasn't looking good. But the vote for today, I think, was 14-13 or 13-12, just barely passing. The Democrats unanimously voted against Bobby Kennedy, even though he was he's a lifelong Democrat. Obviously, the Kennedy name is synonymous with Democrats. Unfortunately, the power centers seem to be using Democrats to push big interests, as was seen plainly by the fact that both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were two of the most vehement anti-RFK Jr. Senators in the hearing last week, bringing up conspiracy theories and things that just are plainly false. I'm going to play some moments for you here now from that hearing, and then we'll discuss it briefly and then go into the Tulsi confirmation vote that will be happening this afternoon behind closed doors. But here, let's just take a look at some key moments.
News reports have claimed that I'm anti-vaccine or anti-industry. I am neither. I am pro-safety.
We'll have order. In 2020, you said, and I quote, you would do anything, pay anything to go back in time and not vaccinate your kids. Mr. Kennedy, all of these things cannot be true. So, are you lying to Congress today when you say you are pro-vaccine? Or did you lie on all those podcasts? We have all of this on tape, by the way. In May of 2021, you petitioned the Food and Drug Administration to not only block Americans from having access to the COVID vaccine, but to prevent any future access to the life-saving vaccine. Are you denying that? Your name is on the petition.
Most experts agree today, even the people who did it back then, that COVID vaccines are inappropriate for 6-year-old children who basically have a zero risk from COVID. That's why I brought that lawsuit. I don't want to, I want to emphasize
Mr. Kennedy, the facts.
The committee will be in order.
Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit
You're
to
not
what?
going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits. All
right, so we're going to stop that right there. So this was one of the things that really bothered me and seemed so strange during this hearing. So right here, she's trying to get Bobby Kennedy to say that after he leaves, should he be confirmed and serve his term, that when he returns to private practice, that he won't sue pharmaceutical companies or anyone else who he, sees as committing terrible acts against the public. He won't retake his position as a private attorney to sue people for breaking the law, for injuring people. And it's like, why? What are you even trying to get here? It's like only serving to protect pharmaceutical companies who have broken the law and injured people. All it's doing is taking one less cop off the street in the form of a private attorney who is dangerously enabled with information. It's like, it's baffling to me because she has done so many great things, including creating the CFPB, which protects consumers, this beautiful plan she came up with that, was made better by many collaborators that she worked with when she was a professor. She's done some amazing things in this, I think that a lot of people don't like how she comes off, but as a pro-consumer person, she's scored a ton of points. But here it's like she's just carrying water for pharmaceutical companies. It's like Biden pardoning these pharmaceutical companies from actual crimes that they could be convicted of and held accountable to. Like, this is how our system works. We sue people who break the law so that people don't break the law. We sue companies that hurt people so they don't hurt people. And here she is going to bat for those companies, and there's zero public policy behind her. This is not for anyone's good. It only benefits the bottom line of these companies who seek to make a profit over doing a public good. Like, the whole kind of agenda that Bobby Kennedy has is to fund studies to prove whether things are worth doing or are causing more harm, and to find better diets for us to follow, to see the healthiest way to live, and to share that information. He's not even mandating that you don't eat anything or you don't take vaccines or even changing the schedule. All he wants to do is to get the information out there so that people can decide for themselves, to fund studies. Like right now, all the studies are funded by the pharmaceutical companies and, big agro, like all the companies who are trying to sell us stuff. They're the ones who are, putting the billions of dollars into these studies. Meanwhile, there's just a tiny little sliver looking at other things and certain areas that are totally taboo because the industry and the FDA is so packed with, cronies for these big industry people. And apparently now Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders count themselves among them. Both of them voted against Bobby Kennedy, lifelong Democrat, only wants to do good. And here she is trying to hamstring him and to limit not only his financial thing, like people should have the ability to sue people and make money off of it. That's not a bad thing, particularly when they're making money only contingent on finding crimes and getting money for people who've been harmed. It's just baffling, and she looks terrible. And this is unfortunately her legacy. I can't imagine Massachusetts is going to keep her around too much longer, and this is what she's going to be known for, carrying water for pharmaceutical companies who are committing crimes and pushing against this guy who, frankly, after this vote, if the Republicans vote along Republican lines, he's going to be instituted. Republicans are putting in this Democrat who is fighting against big pharma and all these special interests that are poisoning America, making us, one of the poorest and unhealthiest first world countries out there, despite spending the most on healthcare. And it's all coming down around them, and this is going to be her legacy, not the good works that she's done, but clearly she's been unmasked here. And I think the vote next week, where the full Senate votes, will unmask some others, but hopefully enough Democrats can stand up and reclaim, their honor, frankly, as candidates for the people, because this is a no-brainer. Cancer is avoidable in many respects. For cancer that's caused by the food that we're eating and the pesticides that we're exposed to, it's just rampant everywhere. And I mean, it's terrible to go through. Dementia, all these things that we're suffering through personally or through our family members shouldn't be happening. And as with fentanyl dipping down and the resulting lower death tolls, it's going to be evident once it starts happening, and people are going to be hungry for it, and they're going to want more and more of it. And the people who voted Bobby Kennedy in, the people who vote for Tulsi Gabbard to end the wars, they're going to be remembered, and this is going to be your legacy. We've already reached the tipping point. We're too far gone. If you try and push against it, you're going to get run over, and you'll have no future in politics, nor should you. So anyway, we'll listen to the end of this here, but it seems like, by the way, this AP, they're showing like a lot of the disgruntled elements, from the crowd and stuff. They seem to be a little bit slanted, but we'll see how they end things here.
So that what you do as secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies.
My
yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
I'm an awful person. Okay. So that's her. Let's back this off. Yeah, so those were some of the highlights. RFK, not shown in those highlights, RFK did a fantastic job defending himself, talking about how he's being characterized as a conspiracy theorist and yet been right on all these issues. I recommend you kind of dipping into those if you're unsure about him, but really to watch him in a long form, which I think that anyone who is going to speak on him and say and cast opinions on him, you really need to hear him on the long form, because he is a brilliant guy, super well versed, and has a lot to lose. He's not, one to be, thought of as a conspiracy theorist, because no, he's a guy who has sued companies and won. I think he's almost has a perfect record, if not a perfect record, and is well versed on all the issues. He is not anti-vax. He wants what every rational scientist would want, which is for the studies to be made and recommendations to be based on that. Currently, that's not the case with these vaccines because of an unfortunate set of laws that were passed to create indemnity, and then all the other things that happened during COVID have happened for the past 40 years to put us in this situation. The way out, the antiseptic, is sunlight, and that's what he's looking to provide here. So that is that. I do want to quickly turn and kind of cover some of the the highlights to note from today's hearing and some things to talk about on the upcoming hearing for Tulsi, which is going on later today. So the vote today for Kennedy did go along party lines insofar as 100% of Democrats voted against it, unfortunately and shockingly. Let's see, for the vote later today, Susan Collins, who's a Republican, and Todd Young, both have kind of been a thorn in the side and have signaled that they were going to be challenging a lot of Trump's nominations. Both of them, fortunately, on this one, appear to signal that they will vote yes to approve Tulsi, which is shocking because Tulsi is very much against the deep state. So if that is the case, good for them, because frankly, Susan Collins, I'm ready for her to be done. It seems like her interests are not aligned with Americans' interests, but maybe I'm wrong, and if she does vote the other way, then I guess we'll see, or we won't, because this hearing is behind closed doors, meaning that we're not going to know the results unless the people come out and say it. I guess even they could come out and lie, but in any event, it will be behind closed doors, which I don't love, but we'll see where things go. Hopefully today's vote, or the RFK vote, is a sign of good things to come. We shall see. So that's happening this afternoon. Some are saying that should happen around 2:30. We'll see. Any event, I don't know when the second vote on her will be. RFK's vote in front of the full Senate is next week, so we'll have to wait to see that. But that's enough time for us right now to be active on X, to be active in the comment sections, to let your senators know how you feel, to share posts that are kind of discussing the issue and exposing the special interests related to senators who are pushing against it. I think that's really what we need to do. We need to go after the people who are on the fence, who are signaling they might vote against either of these people. Same thing with Kash Patel. They're all fantastic choices, and once these people get in, I think we're going to start seeing the results start building, just as we've seen from the tariff strategies, which seem extreme as they're proposed, but I think at this point he's batting 1,000 on getting what he wants from Canada, from all of the immigration countries who have agreed to take their immigrants back. Mexico, Canada, they're all stepping up their game on the fentanyl war. So it's working. The American public does not have to bear the cost of tariffs because the tariffs aren't happening. The threat of tariff is getting the results. These are transactional moves. They seem extreme, but they have to seem extreme in order to be taken seriously. But the biggest superpower out there, and these countries should be respecting our wishes and not putting us in harm's way. These are not unreasonable requests, but we do need to negotiate them strongly, and that's what's been happening, which is great to see. Some other things seem too extreme. I think some of the Doge moves seem crazy, but again, perhaps this crazy position that he's taking, is super aggressive, is meant to land at a place where things can get done. So we'll see where things land. I'm reserving judgment on that, but we'll see. I think there's many things that could happen with Doge to do a lot of good. I think that we spend a ton of money on software systems like Salesforce, which we could do differently. I think that we could build rather than buy, and build these systems internally, open source it, use open source solutions, and then share them with the states and share them with American companies. Like, these things cost, I don't know, like on the order of billions if you probably added it up across all agencies, and they could be more secure, more nimble, more effective, and have the added benefit of being free for American companies. These are investments that could save us a ton of money and improve American businesses. So there's efficiencies elsewhere that could be looked to in addition to the personnel, which I don't necessarily agree that that's the best course, but I think that there is a ton of waste, and I think they're going to root it out, and we'll see how well they do. Hopefully not by causing damage that isn't more costly to repair than it is in savings. So we will see. Okay, guys, we're going to cut it off there, but thanks for checking in. We are a brand new channel, and we're just getting started. So please subscribe. Our main goal here is to be kind of the midpoint between the news and action. We want to introduce you to inflection points like confirmations of personnel, but also votes and the development of legislation. We want to influence the narrative and key you, the American citizen, into issues that you should be aware of and you should be acting on. I think we all realize that voting for the right candidate is not enough. That's what's happened, for the past 100 years with no, direct correlation. I think that, and increasingly recently, voting, doesn't really do it. People cannot deliver on campaign promises. Even Trump, even though he seems to deliver on a lot of his promises, he still needs to, feel the pressure from people. And this is how we do it. We stay informed and we take action, whether it's by liking and sharing content, sending tweets and emails, having conversations with neighbors, or all the above. These are the things that get us there. And ultimately, we need to know what legislation we want passed, and we need to call for it, just like the lobbyists do. The lobbyists who write the healthcare legislation. We need to step into that role if we want to have legislation passed that meets our interests. We need to be more active if we want results. And I think now is an exciting time for change, and we can do it. But we need to stand up and take accountability and use our agency to get that going. So thank you for joining me on this journey. We'll keep it up, and have a good one.